Yep. All right. Welcome, everyone. A lot of familiar faces. Yeah, so welcome to our Revit integration training session. I'm Humam. You probably saw me before from the product team here at Fohlio. Alongside me also our CEO, Huibin, and our technical support, Amr, and also Kirill from the development and engineering team. So for today, we're going to try to keep this within the time. We will be talking about the Revit integration and how you can do the exporting process, the importing process, and possibly the sync process as well. We will demo each stage separately, and I'll try to answer any of your questions that come up in the chat. So to kick things off, just to basically talk about the integration itself. So what this integration allows you to do is basically a sync between Revit and Fohlio. It can be two ways, it could be one way, it's up to the process that you work with. So there's a seamless sync that keep the models and possibly the specs in Fohlio perfectly aligned. Also, hopefully, it prevents you from doing any duplicate work, so that if you have like update items automatically using unique identifiers or not. So basically no manual entry if you do that. And lastly, less errors. So there's preventing duplication, inconsistency between the parameters and the data that you sync. Right, so that being said, we will start with the first stage. So the bigger one, let's say you would like to export your Revit models, or let's call them families, that's the correct term in Revit, to Fohlio. How does that process work? So that process consists mainly from four main steps. So once you launch the add-in within Revit and you log in to Fohlio, it will ask you first, obviously, to select the project you want to start with. Once you do that, and you select the export feature, you will have four main steps. So you have to select the areas in the Revit file that you have. So basically, it will take the items in those areas to push them or export them. Second, it will ask you to match the families, categories, to the categories you created on Fohlio. Third, it will ask you which parameters / information you want to export. It could be tag, model, information, description, manufacturer, basically. And fourth, if you want to have a unique key identifier. We will talk into this one into more details later on, but basically it allows you to sync back again if you made changes in Fohlio and you want to push them back to Revit. So to demo this export process, Kirill, are you able to share your screen or override my share? And you can do that.
Of course, I'm going to go. So hello everyone.
Yeah, so I'm going to stop just to prevent multiple shares. Yeah.
All right. So hello again, everyone. Thank you, Kumam, for a great intro. I think it was like very self-explanatory, so hopefully my demo will go like smoothly after such introduction. So let's get started. As Kumam described, we're going first to focus our attention on exporting data from Revit into Fohlio, and this is how it works in practice. Of course, we assume that the add-in has been downloaded and installed, you've launched Revit, and you're ready to go. So, for instance, you here, you click on this icon, you start the editing. The first step, of course, is to select a project. Where would you like to export all the data? Let's use this one. And let's start with export. Basically, the export flow is a four-step process, which is designed to be very, very simple and intuitive. But just to be on the safe side, we're going to try to clarify it. So the first step, as usual, is to create areas in Fohlio from rooms in Revit. They've got different structures, the two systems. But in order to make them compatible, it's necessary to understand how the structure organized in Fohlio. For this, we're going to have a quick look at our system. So basically, as you can see right now, I've got two layers, which are containers for areas and two areas. Two areas here. And since we've got two containers, we can create relationships between areas and those containers. This symbol structure mimics the structure that exists in Revit. In Revit, you've got levels and you've got rooms. So this is how it works. And keeping all that in mind, this is how the first step should be done. As you can see, we've got like rooms, which were collected from this model, and we need to create analogous areas in Fohlio. First of all, it can be done manually. As you can see, I can assign each area to each room, do it manually. Alternatively, I can go here. I can select okay, I want to use the first container, which is called for levels, and the second container called rooms for rooms in my Revit model. Everything looks good. Once that's set up, we can click AutoMap, and these areas will be created, but only those that I select. So we select only level 2, and based on this selection, what we should get in return is like L2 and a bunch of areas. Hopefully it makes sense, but anyway, we'll see it later. So it's the first step. Let's continue to our next step. In this step, we need to decide which items to export from the active model. All the items have been collected from the previously selected areas, or rooms, sorry. As you can see, we've got those, we've got furnishes, a lot of items, but before we can export them, we need to assign them to categories in Fohlio. We've got category settings, you can create your own categories or use the default categories. In Revit, I remember the categories are kind of set and standard, so you can't modify them. So with all that, we can do the following. We can decide, okay, I want to assign all the items which belong to the furniture category in Revit to furnishings, or maybe to different category. It doesn't really matter. What matters is that you can do it very, very fast by doing that in bulk. So for instance, let's decide to switch furniture to something, I don't know, special construction. Doesn't really matter. Click save, close, automate. We can remember everything in one click. On top of that, we can also decide to, okay, for some reason, these items should go to, let's say, some sort of subcategory or some other category. It can be overridden. As a result, it looks quite flexible, and to top it all off, this operation should be done only once. All the settings, all the selections, all the mapping will be saved. So I think it's like easy to understand, and just a couple of material just for the sake of it, and probably special equipment, a couple of items here. All right, we're done. In this second to last step, we're going to decide which bits of information we'd like to get exported. As you know, in Fohlio, we store details about items in columns. We've got like a bunch of columns with different names, and they've got different structures, but they basically, each column basically has a bit of information. In Revit, we've got like our items, which are represented basically by family types, and each family type has a lot of parameters. So this is I think kind of an example of what you can get. As you can see, there are also standard parameters. You can create your own parameters, plus shared parameters, project parameters. I think there are plenty of types of parameters in Revit. Anyway, it works for all of them, and it works as follows. Let's say I want to create an association between, let's say, comments and comments, like in two systems. I can also assign manufacturer to manufacturer, maybe mark to type of cat, something else. I don't know. These sorts, you can do it in your own way. Once you're done, you select all the parameters. Let's say these, and also materials and finishes. So we're going to expect all this information exported from all the items previously selected. That step is done. For now, I'm going to skip this last step because it's only for specific use cases. So let's just export everything. The process itself is asynchronous, so you can keep on working while the export is in progress. So just like do whatever you need, and once export is done, you'll be notified. Yeah, that's done. Let's go back to Fohlio. Let's roll the page. These are our items. So as you can see, we've exported lots of items. They belong to different categories. Special construction. Those items belong to the furnishings category, but I changed it to special construction. Also selected some items from the equipment category. I exported the type names to the product name column, and of course we received all the quantities. As you can see, there are like 3 items in room 2 store studio unit, 1 item in studio unit, and the same works for all the items as well. So this concludes the first. Would you be so kind as to describe the import process?
Sure. Kirill, just before moving, we have two quick questions. So I think I just missed that. So in the first step where you have to select basically the areas, you have a question that says we have to create the levels and rooms in Fohlio, then select them in Revit so that they are being brought into that area?
No, they'll be brought in. As you can see, those areas didn't exist the last time I was here. There were only 2 areas, a level 1 and room, and all these areas were created based on the rooms in Fohlio, in Revit. As you remember, I selected level 2, and this is the structure, and this is what we've got right now, level 2 level, corridor, mezzanine, stairs, studio, mezzanine, corridor, stairs, studio. All the areas have been created. So it's kind of up to you. You can create everything in advance, let's say in Fohlio first, and then map everything manually or by the auto mapping in Revit, or you can create everything based on the structure from your Revit model.
We have another quick question. Does this adding work with the full version of Revit, or does it also work with Revit LT, which is Revit Lite?
As far as I know, unfortunately, Autodesk doesn't allow installing any add-ins for Revit LT because it's considered a reduced version and no third-party add-ins are simply allowed. So sadly not.
All right. Okay, thank you. Let me then move to the next step. So that was the export process. So that was from Revit to Fohlio, and now we will talk about the other way around. So let's say you want to do the import from Fohlio to Revit. So this is before having anything synced before. There will be two main steps here. Again, we will talk about this unique key. It's basically just to identify which composed information of free attributes to update existing items. And then the second step is again related to the same step we had before, which is you have to select your parameters. So the parameters are very important. I think, yeah, Krail, can you also demo the import process?
Absolutely. All right. A quick demo again. So the same project. As you remember, we've exported all these items from Revit. Now we're going to import. It's just a quick demo. You can import any of information, but I'm simply going to map product column to the description column. So basically, again, we're going to skip this step for now to make it very, very simple. And in this step, only step, if you exported items previously from Revit, you simply to decide what information goes where. So for instance, I want to export description to just like some information from the description column in Fohlio to the type parameter called description or any other parameter. So basically, for now, I'm going to do the following. I'm going to export all that information, product name, to the description column. So I've got, so let me see, I've got product name. It's already went to description. That's very simple to do. So let's just select this column and click import. Sadly, this process is not asynchronous, so it will block and you won't be able to continue your work on your model until it's finished. But if you don't, like it, again, it depends on how many items you're trying to update. If there are too many items, you might wait, but if they're not, then it should be very fast. So as you can see, we've got the type, it's got the name. That field was mapped to the product name column in Fohlio. It was exported as this, and then we imported it back and mapped it to description. It was just an example. You can map any fields to like any columns to any family parameters. Of course, there's some restrictions because they're different data types in Revit and different data types in Fohlio, it's possible to export almost all data types from Fohlio because we support some sort of display representation for all of them, which simply resolves to a simple string. But you should be very mindful about to which column you map it in Revit, because in Revit there are columns of unique types, and sometimes they simply don't support simple text, and other times they even don't support text because they only expect, for instance, numbers. So it's a little bit kind of tricky to explain. I don't want to go into a lot of details, so that's it for now. Thank you. Okay, Juan, could you please describe the next steps, and I'll demo them
Absolutely.
later.
So, just to be sure, we have a very quick question. So, is there a parameter mapping template file that can be created to be shared?
Of course. First of all, we can do it for each team. If we are provided with a list of parameters, it can be done programmatically on our side. Yes. So basically, it should be very simple. We just need some sort of file, maybe an Excel file or CSV file with all the mappings between different parameters and Fohlio columns.
Perfect. So I assume it's similar to this last topic that we're going to talk about within the slide. So it's importing or exporting items using a unique key. So this unique key we're talking about is usually a set of one or more attributes that can be used to uniquely identify records in a system, or let's say information as well. So can you just tell us more about this, Kirill, just to make it very obvious what we're talking about, and what is the importance of this exact unique key?
Okay, let me do it visually. It should be better this way. First, let's go to Fohlio. In Fohlio, we've got a special column called project item ID, and it basically enforces uniqueness. Let's try to enter the value 1 here and the same value here. As you can see, you got an error because the same value has already been used somewhere else, which is like the basic concept of uniqueness. So you need some column, like some approach, like to uniquely identify each item. It's like, I think there are a lot of analogies in the real world. When you go shopping, you've got like a bunch of items. They each of them has a unique barcode. So like when you check out, you can easily see the price for that specific item. The same goes for items in big projects. It's easy to manage them on the construction site, like anywhere during maintenance. So there are like a lot of real use cases. And based on this concept, we've got an our functionality which allows the following flow. Let's say, okay, let's move this one. I want to use this item. So I've got an item in Fohlio with a lot of information. Like I fill in everything. I've got all the real data from my supply. I've got like a real price. I've got like everything. And let's say I want to use all that information in my like model, Revit model for facilities management for any other purpose. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to get that information into my model. Unfortunately, I didn't export this item from Revit previously. So it means that I can't simply use the import process showed previously, but I still need to get the information. So how? And for that, we first need to make sure that it has a unique value here in our project item unique ID column, again, for uniqueness, which will work wonders. And next, I go to Revit, and let's say I want to put all the information from that item into this item. What I have to do is to simply select, let's say, like, I know I usually use type mark for this kind of mapping. So let's say I want to use this column for mapping, and I put the same value from here, ID 42. I click save. Perfect. Next, I go to the same project, import from Fohlio, and in this step, I decided, oh, okay, I know that this column can be used as a unique identifier. So as you can see, select field used to search for a family type in Revit to update. By default, an internal Revit ID is used, but I want to use my own. I want to use project item ID. I click yeah, okay, and let's try to import everything. The most important step here is to make sure that this column, product item unique ID, is mapped to the right column in Revit. I mean, the column that contains the same value. Like, if you remember, I put the same value, UID, into the timer parameter. So everything is good. I just want to import everything. Right. So here we go. We've got all the information. We've got, okay, let's also open the previous page so that we can see all the mapping. I click import. So we import a description to description, description to description, item status into model, status draft, manufacturer, I suppose into manufacturer, yes, supply into manufacturer. It was like test company, type comment, what did I get, retail price? I got the retail price, cost. So as you can see, all that information from that item was like easily imported back into model without any initial synchronization. I think that kind of explains it. The same works in reverse if necessary. So if to like not just select something here, I just also click demo. So for instance, I think I've got, let's use this one. So I've got this item. It's already got a lot of information. I think I actually created it. Maybe just create a new one to make it very, very interesting. So I've got a new item. Let's imagine that it contains a lot of information, and I simply want to get maybe some something extra from Revit, maybe a couple of fields, or maybe just the quantity. So what I can do, I decided, okay, let's use this one. Let's put some unique identifier. Okay, let's use type mark. Let's put this. Let's put something like this. And for some reason, I can't use the project item ID for this item. It's reserved. Let's use second reference. So this one, not this, we're going to update this one. So I do the same steps. Like, I think I don't need to select furniture here. All the parameters previously selected will be selected by default. And here I'm going to use socket. No, there is one more step to make sure that everything is mapped properly. Type mark to take add reference. And here we select which column should be used as a unique identifier. Since we're going to use the add reference, here we're going to select this one. Word. All right.
And just to keep things in time, Karel, we have a few quick questions. One of them is related to this exactly. So if someone went to the Revit file and changed that key value that's linking those two items in Revit manually, do they have to rerun this update process again to get it correct?
So basically, it depends on the situation, because if that value was changed to another unique value during the next export, nothing will be created. So let me just clarify that. So as you can see in the previous like demo session, I've selected like everything, all the furniture. But because I used the unique identifier functionality, only that item, this one, has been updated with information from Revit. So it means when we use a unique identifier, only items that have unique identifiers in both systems will be updated and synchronized.
Okay.
As a result, if you change the value of the unique key, let's say in Revit, and you try to export that item in your next session, but there is no matching item in Fohlio, nothing will be created because it's only done for synchronization.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I guess this concludes the demo for all the features of the adding. We'll take more few questions. If you guys have anything, please let us know in the chat. I think I have one more question, possibly related to the export by Kimberly. So Kimberly asks, if there are items added after the initial export, will it update just those items? So I expect her that when she does the export again, does it update what it already exported the first time?
Definitely.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'm seeing also Hassan's making clarifications on the template. When he asked about having like a template that can be shared for parameter mapping, his goal was to share it for the whole team. So I think that is possible. It just requires a few information on parameters for you or the Excel sheet, like you mentioned, and then we can create a template.
Yes, that's all we need.
All right. Let me check. Yeah, and if you have any questions, feel free to unmute and ask us. If not, Amar, please, you would like to have a very quick clarification.
Yeah, I was just wondering about the template thing. So it's not native to the plugin as of now, right? I cannot just create a CSV file or something like this that can be loaded in from other sessions for other users, something like that.
It's not exactly that. The thing is, currently in the add-in, you'll have to do it manually, but everything will be saved. So you'll create that template yourself, but because it's very, very kind of, I would say it's not very convenient because you have to go one by one. For instance, let's say you've got like, I don't know, hundreds of parameters somewhere here. I mean, let's say, so imagine you've got like 100 parameters here, another 200 parameters here. If you do it once manually, everything will be saved. And the same settings, the same mapping will be applied for all users in your team.
Okay.
But if you want to do it, yeah. But if you want to like do it very, very fast, you need simply send us all that file, all the data in a file, and we'll do
Okay.
it
No, the
like
only thing,
in a couple of minutes
the only thing I was
programmatically.
worried about is I just do the whole mapping, and then a whole bunch of other users are also waiting for the same settings. I have to do it. But you're saying as long as I take things in there,
No.
okay, it's fine.
Yeah, of course.
In my meetings with some of our Fohlio users who also use Revit, some of you guys actually have tried different things and have some best practice, or maybe you have some like, also facing some issues, want to bounce ideas with each other. And this is a place to just like really unmute yourself and ask questions. Sometimes if we don't have answers, some of our other Fohlio users actually do have some good solutions as well. So feel free to unmute and bounce ideas.
I have a question. Do you know how designers or architect teams are using these? Because I kind of am going back and forth about whether it's best to start with the information in Folio and export that to Revit, or start with the information in Revit and export that to Folio. Like, what would be the best for our team? And I was wondering if anybody else had any experience with trying those methods and what worked best.
So in my experience, it's better to like initially, like usually you get your Revit models from your contractors, probably architects,
We
and
make
you
them
start working.
Yeah.
No,
We're building the Revit models ourselves, and we're
ourselves.
it's like up to us to put the information like in all the parameters. So yeah, I'm just trying to decide, do we do that as we're modeling and designing? But things change so fast, and sometimes we're iterating like constantly. So it takes kind of a lot of time to put all this information in to a Revit family, and then we might not even use that item.
Since your workflow is very, very like flexible, I would say it boils down to where you feel comfortable entering a lot of information. If you prefer the interface of Folio, where you can do a lot of like updates in batch, you can assign like the same supplier to hundreds of items, you can do it in a couple of clicks, then it makes sense to do everything in Folio and then simply push all the data back to your model when it's necessary. In particular, I would even I would only keep unique identifiers like in Revit, because let's say you've got one family, you're working I don't know, in that particular state you're working with a very simple item, lot 100. You don't need something fancy, it's just like a box. You don't know what's going to be, but for now it's just a box. But you still want some information inside that box to maybe do a bit of like I don't know, it's up to you. Maybe you want to share that model with your contractors or something else. So you create that simple box in your Revit file, in your Revit project. You put the unique ID, as I showed previously. Then you put a lot of information in Folio, and put the matching unique ID. So let's say you've got a couple of options for this item, and in the first iteration you assign like, I don't know, it should be chair with a bunch of parameters. You put the data, you import the data from Folio, show your clients, they're kind of, no, we want something different. All you have to do after that is simply to change that unique ID to match another item in Fohlio and do the import. It's kind of very, very fast and quite flexible.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with Carl because in reality, we know that like creating the exact Revit family, and making changes for every single specific project is so time consuming. And we do recommend probably Fohlio is a better place to actually do the actual specification and then only feed the absolute necessary information back to the Revit model for, if you need to generate a very comprehensive report for contractor, etc. Yes, Hassan.
Yeah, just basically picking up on what the previous person said. Is it possible to, because I've seen that you've showed the workflow working directly inside of a Revit project. Is it possible to use a similar workflow but dealing directly with families? If I have a library of families, say, on a project?
Do you mean you've got a project as a prototype
so I have a
project?
Yeah, so I have a project and I have lots of families, furniture, lots of things. And I want to be able to populate information from Fohlio directly into Revit families that I will then load in later. Can I do that efficiently using this?
Yeah, I think so. If I remember correctly, it's possible to create a template, right, from an existing project. Or do you need to? Yeah, you can save it as a template. Yeah, you can do it easily. So basically, you create a template, or you use you already got your template with a lot of families. It contains all your standard families. I don't usually in big companies they've got a lot of templates for different building types. They usually contain a bunch of standard family types, I mean. And yeah, probably it would be best to set up it once and simply sync everything back and forth when necessary.
Okay. But in the middle of a project, say, can I export a bunch of families that I can then populate? If I have a list of families in a folder, could I do that?
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Yeah. Okay. So I would have to open every single family and then do the export every time, or is it possible to automate it through a list?
No, basically you can export everything from the current project. As you can see in the step 2, you simply select your family types.
Okay,
as you can see, family types. P1 with different parameters. So simply select the ones you want to get exported or updated, and
perfect.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Do we have any other questions? Amor, maybe you can take this moment to mention about the adding availability.
Yeah, sure. For everyone that doesn't have the integration enabled, please first check with your account admin, because the integration to Fohlio should be granted per role. And the second thing, even if the super admin doesn't see the integration, they can reach out to us and we will enable it for them. They will also be able to enable it for the rest of the team. Just wanted to mention that. I'll share my screen to show it for super admin where they can do it. So if you are the admin of the account or super admin, you just need to go to roles, management, scroll to the bottom. You'll see Autodesk Revit integration. Make sure it's enabled for the correct role, for example, interior designers. And then when it's enabled, you will find it over here under connected app, Revit. And from here, you select the right version and download. Then you will have the add-on ready to be added.
Is it possible to share that installer through many users if I download it?
Yes,
Yep.
you should be able to share it directly. No need to download it directly from Fohlio.
Those users need to have their own Fohlio login, right, Carl?
Yes, for users, of course, yeah. They need an account and Fohlio.
Okay. Thank you everyone for attending. We reached the end of the webinar. Very quick reminder, you can still gain some gift cards if you refer us to a friend or to a company that you might feel that Fohlio can be useful for them. Again, I would like to thank you for joining. We hope that you enjoyed the training session, found it useful, and we appreciate the time you took to ask your questions and learn more about what we have. Thank you, everyone.
And very quickly, the referral link actually is very simple. If you go to Fohlio, Homa, can you share where they can find it? So on the app, at the bottom left side, there is a referral link. Yes, if you click on it, basically that's where you can create your own referral account, and that will track all the referrals that are generated through you. Thank you so much, everybody. And also, like, very quick message, you can just copy and paste and send to your friends who you think might benefit from using Fohlio. And through a referral, they can also get 10% discount first year with us. Thank you.
Right.
Thanks,
See you in the
everyone.
next one. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
All
everyone.
right, have a good holiday.
Thank
Hopefully, we'll see you
you.
guys. Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Uh,